An Indianapolis judge has just found a woman not guilty for smothering her child to death while high on meth. The woman allegedly admitted that she smothered her 3-month-old baby with a pillow while she was high on meth in order to stop the baby from crying. Little 3-month-old baby crying out for mommy, and mommy, high on meth and tired, decides to smother the baby to death rather than meet her needs. This woman's 3-year-old daughter reportedly saw this happen, testified that this happened. And the judge in this case, here's his ruling.
Court accordingly enters judgment of not guilty, reluctantly. I do hope that you will take the opportunity to get the counseling that you need, to get the counseling for the children that you need, that you learn from this behavior, and hopefully the rest of the community learns from this behavior, that you cannot go out and party on the weekend and be with children. May not have been a safe place to go.
Toxicology report did show meth in Daisha Lacey's system, but Judge Mark Stoner said if she had been charged with reckless homicide or involuntary manslaughter, he could have found her guilty. But she's not guilty of neglect of the dependent, resulting in death.
Hold on. So the guy's admitting, yeah, you killed your kid. You killed your 3-month-old baby because you were high on meth. And if you had been charged with this type of killing your kid while high on meth, or this type of killing your kid while high on meth, maybe I would have found you guilty. But instead, because you were charged with criminal neglect leading to the death of an infant, I'm going to find you not guilty. Why? Because she was too active in the killing of her child? Because it actually wasn't neglectful. She intentionally killed her child. So something isn't adding up for me here. And then you hear that judge speak. He says, well, actually, regretfully, okay, I find you not guilty. Now, I could have found you guilty because you did murder your kid. You totally killed your kid because you were high on meth and you murdered your sweet little baby. But look, I think this can be a teachable moment. I think it's going to be, look, we all make mistakes. And I guess usually we have to pay for our mistakes, but you won't have to pay for anything. You won't face any consequences whatsoever. And I think we all can learn a lesson here, can't we? And the lesson we can learn is you shouldn't stay out quite so late at those parties. Okay. Be around children. The party is the problem. We're not talking about a cocktail soiree with a jazz quartet. We're talking about a woman getting high on meth and going home and murdering her kid, her little baby. Well, it's a teachable moment it's not a teachable moment for me. I don't do that. I'm never going to do that. There but for the grace of God go I, to quote Norm Macdonald, no river so long doesn't contain a bend. I guess theoretically it could happen, but I don't think I'm at great risk of that. I don't think you're at great risk of that. This woman did something heinous that was so easily preventable, probably 20 steps along the way, and the judge lets her off the hook completely. There's a line from Adam Smith, the author of Wealth of Nations, the man credited with inventing capitalism, basically, the Enlightenment era writer who was actually a moral philosopher first. The line is, mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. Now, I don't believe this line totally, because I'm Christian, and we know that the quality of mercy is a wonderful thing. And we know that though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We like mercy. Mercy is a quality of God's, actually, and it pulls us closer to God the more that we render the acts of mercy, of course. And at the same time, the civil authority must have some kind of justice. We call it the justice system. There's no justice here whatsoever. A grave, grave miscarriage of justice that you see, well, just about any time we turn on a courtroom news story today. It seems that justice has been not only perverted, but in some cases just totally inverted. In this case, the woman who murders a kid is the victim. The poor little kid is barely talked about. The traumatized other kid, maybe get her some counseling or something. Move along. That doesn't fix any problem. It only makes the problems worse. Speaking of killing, very violent episode today. An Uber driver was just shot and killed as the result of a telephone scam. This is one of the weirdest stories I have seen in a really long time. Reported by CBS News. There was an 81-year-old Ohio man who received scam calls. Maybe you've heard of these kinds of scam calls where an older person will get a call, say, either I'm a young relative of yours, or I've arrested a young relative of yours, or I've kidnapped a young relative of yours, and you got to send me money or your relative's going to be in trouble. In fact, my grandfather got one of these calls some years ago. They really do target senior citizens. So this 81-year-old gets the call that involved threats and demands. An unknown man told him over the phone he needed to pay $12,000 to get his nephew out of jail. And this guy told the police that the caller threatened him and his nephew if he didn't pay the ransom. So he said, okay, I'm going to come by and I'm going to collect this money. Give me the money, at the door. So what the scammer does is he doesn't go to collect the money. He hires an Uber driver, sends an Uber driver over there. And the Uber driver is just some woman, some nice woman who has no idea what's going on. And the Uber driver is just told to go collect a package. So goes over there. I guess this would be, I didn't realize you could even do this until some years ago. But you can send an Uber driver to just go get stuff from a house and then take it somewhere else. So that's what happened. This poor Uber driver shows up and she has no idea what's going on, and the guy shoots her. So she was obviously unarmed, but when she gets there, the guy says, get in the house, where's my nephew? What's going on? And he holds this woman at gunpoint. She says, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, sure enough, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And this is a situation where you really, really feel for both of the parties who are involved in the violence. In that this guy has every reason to believe that this woman knows where his nephew is threatening his nephew's life. I'd consider holding the woman at gunpoint too, to get to the bottom of this. Now, maybe you call the cops the moment you get the threat. Maybe that was the smart thing to do. But in any case, the woman's saying, I don't know. And then he shoots her. There was a scuffle at the door and he shot her. So he's now being charged with murder, carries a penalty of 15 years to life in prison. Bail was set at $200,000. Horrible story. I really feel, obviously I feel for the woman and her family. I really feel for this guy, this 81-year-old guy, who the only person who's really committed a crime here, as far as I'm concerned, is the scammer. And the scammer, we don't even know his identity because he just made a phone call. Scammers and fraudsters are the lowest of the low. I mean, these are the people who are in some of the lowest circles of hell, according to Dante. They're just like the worst people on earth. And they're emboldened to get away with it. Why? Because of a novel technological fact of our age, which is that technology allows us to pretend to be another person. Sure, you could always put on the Groucho glasses and lie about your identity, but it was a little harder when you're there in flesh and blood, you're putting on a performance. Here, with the advent of telephones and certainly with computers, you can live a digital life. And you can convince yourself that your digital virtual life is not connected to your real life. And we all do this to some degree. We all do. We get online and we put on a new persona. A lot of people, probably the clearest example is looking at pornography. Very few people want to admit to looking at pornography in public, but 90+% of men look at it or have looked at it in private because you say, oh, well, that's not my real life. You open up the incognito, meaning, I'm totally unknown, I'm totally anonymous. But even beyond that, let's say you don't look at porn. I bet you're on social media. And when people go on social media, they become monsters. They become different people. They're nasty, they're wrathful, they're cruel, they're envious, they're prideful. Why? Because you say, well, it's not real life. Twitter is not real life. That's what we say. But it is real life. It is real life. And imagine you're the scammer here in this case. You're just trying to make some money off an old guy. Now a woman is dead because of it, and that old guy's going to die in prison because you pulled a little prank, because you made a phone call. You think, well, making a phone call can't be that violent. Well, it's killed one person. It sort of killed two people in the sense that this guy's going to die in prison now. You are always you. Liberal modernity wants to compartmentalize us, divide us, alienate us from ourselves. The extreme of this tries to alienate us from our own bodies, from our own identities. You can't really do that. It's not possible. You are yourself. Every action you undertake, whether it's supposedly incognito or whether it's in the visible physical world, it all has effects in the visible physical world, some of which are palpable. Man, that was a good clip, huh? It was good. Make sure you ring the bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We will see you next time.